I'm Ruby. Standing in the hospital corridor, the sterile smell stinging my nostrils, I can still hear the frantic wailing in my ears and feel the ice-cold panic that had gripped me earlier. Just hours ago, my world had shattered into a million pieces right before my eyes at my daughter Lily's 12th birthday party. Lily, my precious little girl, had collapsed right after opening a birthday cake from her grandmother, Ethel. One moment, she was beaming with joy, and the next, her throat was swelling, and she passed out cold. It was a nightmare come true. As I watched my husband, Max, rush to grab the epinephrine shot, time seemed to stand still. I was in a state of shock, but a searing anger was also coursing through my veins. I knew exactly who was behind this: Ethel, my mother-in-law. I confronted her, my voice trembling with a mix of fear and rage. Ethel, what on earth did you put in Lily's cake? What's in it? She feigned ignorance, insisting it was just a regular cake and that maybe something I'd done had caused Lily to faint. She even had the audacity to accuse me of neglecting Lily's nutrition. I snapped back at her, my patience long gone. Lily was fine a minute ago. You need to own up to what you've done. Look at her, she's turning blue. Ignoring her excuses, I focused on Lily, administering the epinephrine I always kept on hand for emergencies. Thankfully, the swelling went down a bit, but Lily remained unconscious. It was clear she needed to be rushed to the hospital. As the ambulance arrived and took Lily away, we followed closely behind, our hearts heavy with dread. In the hospital, I broke down in Max's arms. The weight of the situation was almost too much to bear. After I calmed down a bit, I called Max's father, George, to let him know that Lily was in the hospital but that the doctors were hopeful. When I hung up, I turned to Max, my anger flaring up again. I'll never forgive Ethel for this. She could have killed our daughter. Max, who had always been a staunch advocate for family, was finally starting to see the light. He looked devastated, saying, I can't believe my own mother would do such a thing. I'm so sorry I didn't see how bad it was before. As I reflect on how we got to this point, I'm reminded of the long and difficult relationship I've had with Ethel. Max and I had lived in a different city for a while, which meant that Ethel couldn't interfere in our lives as much. It was a peaceful time, and I had hoped it would last. But then, Max got a job closer to his hometown. We had to move back, and suddenly, we were constantly in Ethel's orbit. From the very beginning, Ethel didn't like me. She had these old-fashioned ideas about how a wife and mother should be, and I didn't fit into her mold. Thankfully, George was always kind to me. He was a peacemaker, someone who tried to keep the family together. But the real problem was that Ethel spent a lot of time with Lily. Lily adored her grandparents, and since I didn't have a good relationship with my own parents, I put aside my issues with Ethel for Lily's sake. Max also valued family deeply, so we couldn't just cut Ethel out of our lives. Lily loved spending time with her grandparents, but Ethel always managed to stir things up. She constantly criticized the way I was raising Lily, especially when it came to her diet. Lily had a severe allergy to strawberries. Just the smell of them could make her break out in hives and have trouble breathing. I had told Ethel this numerous times, but she was convinced that exposing Lily to strawberries would help her get over the allergy. She would say things like, "You're such a overprotective mother, Ruby. Lily needs to build up her immunity. She should be eating strawberries." I would patiently explain that we had talked to the doctor, and keeping Lily away from strawberries was the best course of action. But Ethel refused to listen. She even tried to get Lily to eat strawberries on a few occasions. But Lily was smart, she knew better and always said no. I started to get more and more worried about leaving Lily alone with Ethel. I talked to Max about it, telling him, I'm really scared that Ethel will give Lily strawberries, thinking it will help her. Max tried to reassure me, saying, my mom might be old-fashioned, but she wouldn't do anything to hurt Lily. And Dad is always there to stop her if she gets out of line. But I couldn't shake the feeling of unease. I insisted that we needed to do something, but Max said we couldn't just stop Lily from seeing her grandparents because of this. So, we went along with it. But I never imagined that Ethel would go as far as she did on Lily's 12th birthday. At the party, when Ethel and George arrived early, I was immediately suspicious. Ethel usually avoided being around me, so her eagerness to be there was out of character. She gave Lily this huge, wrapped present and said, "Happy birthday, Lily. Grandma got you something really special." Lily was over the moon, thanking Ethel sweetly. Ethel then turned to George and said, "What's inside, Grandpa?" George just shrugged and said, "I have no idea. Grandma chose it, and she won't tell me." Ethel kept pushing Lily to open the present right away, even though I suggested we wait until after we cut the cake. She insisted that it had to be opened before the cake cutting. Against my better judgment, I agreed not to ruin Lily's birthday. But when Lily opened the box and saw the huge strawberry cake with her name on it, disaster struck. The moment she took a whiff, her eyes widened in fear, and then she collapsed. After the ambulance took Lily away, Max and I went back home to gather some things. When we entered the living room, we found George scolding Ethel while she sat there, looking unbothered, scrolling through her phone. The untouched birthday cake sat on the table, a stark reminder of what had happened. When they noticed us, they rushed over. I told them that Lily was in the hospital but that the doctors were hopeful. Ethel had the nerve to say, "Oh, it's not that big of a deal. Lily will be fine, and her strawberry allergy will go away soon." That was the last straw. Max unleashed his anger on Ethel, yelling at her for everything she had done. George also joined in, expressing his disappointment. The few guests who were still there stared at Ethel in disbelief. I was filled with a rage I had never felt before. "I've had enough of you, Ethel. We've given you so many chances to change. After what you've done today, you're never allowed near Lily or our family again. You're banned from this house." Ethel wasn't going down without a fight. "You can't tell me what to do. Max won't cut me off for no reason. I'm Lily's grandmother, and I have the right to see her." Max replied firmly, "No, Mom. You're not welcome here anymore. Dad can come, but you've proven that you're a danger to Lily." Ethel was in shock. She couldn't believe that Max was turning against her. She started screaming at me, blaming me for setting her up. "This is all your fault, Ruby. You've turned everyone against me. I'll sue you for grandparents' rights." I looked at her coldly and said, "You're not going to get far getting visitation rights from jail. You can be arrested for knowingly exposing Lily to strawberries. It's a crime, and we've already called the police." Ethel denied everything, insisting that she hadn't done anything wrong. But just then, the police officers arrived. Her panicked expression said it all. She clung to our hands, begging us to drop the charges. We stood firm. George told the officers to take her away, saying, "I've warned you for years to change, Ethel. But you never listened. You put our granddaughter in danger." Max added, "I'm done with you. I'll also be filing for divorce tomorrow." Ethel was screaming and crying as the officers led her away. It was a chaotic end to a once happy occasion. The next day, Lily woke up in the hospital. She was still scared and insisted that she never wanted to see Ethel again. We decided to get her a therapist to help her deal with the trauma. Max and I also started going to family therapy to improve our communication and become a stronger family unit. Ethel's life took a turn for the worse. Her family and friends were appalled by what she had done and cut ties with her. She was desperate for bail money, but no one was willing to help. George filed for divorce, and the legal case against Ethel moved forward. Thanks to the police report, the judge ruled against Ethel. She received a lengthy prison sentence and had to cover Lily's medical expenses. We also got restraining orders to ensure that she could never come near us again. Looking back, I realized that sometimes you have to take a stand to protect your family. It was a difficult and painful journey, but I'm determined to do everything in my power to keep Lily safe and in a loving environment.